Reversal tonight, just days after the state posted a list of the lowest performing schools. Some schools are now coming off that list. The state is blaming an error in calculations. This list determines which students can apply for a $6,500 voucher to supplement a private education. Atlanta News First reporter Abby Casoris joins us now live from the state capitol. So Abby, what did they tell you about why they're making changes here?
Well, after our reporting, we heard from a school district who said that there must have been a mistake, and there was. We heard today from the governor's office of student achievement. They issued a correction. They say that there was outliers in data points, which caused a mixed calculation, which is why they pulled 5 total schools from that list. We do have a map that we can show you for where some of those schools are. They truly are all over the state. Now, this miscalculation is causing some confusion for school districts, parents, and even a state lawmaker who questioned the transparency of the program. There was a legal obligation to post the list before December 1st of this year and explain what criteria they used to determine performance ranking. Former teacher, now state senator Jason Estevez says with the program unveiling turning decidedly messy, how can we trust a program with up to $140 million of taxpayer money?
We are starting to see transparency issues. For example, how and what methodology was used to come up with the bottom 25% of schools in the state. That lack of transparency and the confusion around it, where the state has had to release and re-release lists, is part of the overarching concern that this entire program is not transparent, it's not clear, and can cause more problems than it solves.
We talked with parents whose students are zoned within those school districts. Some said that they would want this type of program. Others said that they wouldn't want this type of program. With that open enrollment does start early 2025. Live tonight in Atlanta, Abby Casoris, Atlanta News First.